Have you ever looked at a Rolls-Royce and thought, what on earth makes this thing worth more than most people's homes? Today we are taking this car completely apart, every single part. And I promise by the end you will completely understand why. Engine, transmission, suspension, brakes. We are covering all of it in this one complete video. Let us go. And at the very end, 5 insane secrets about Rolls-Royce that the company itself absolutely never talks about publicly. By the end of this video, you will know more about a Rolls-Royce than most people who actually own one. That is a promise, starting with the absolute heart of this machine, the V12 engine. And trust me, what they did here is genuinely insane. 6.75 liters, 12 cylinders, twin turbos, 563 horsepower. This engine is not built in a factory line, it is built by hand, one engineer, one engine, 6 months. And when they finish, they sign their name inside the engine block. Every single time, 0 to 100 in 4.6 seconds, and inside the cabin, complete silence. Rolls-Royce calls it power reserve, not horsepower, the engine block, the skeleton of everything. Made from aluminum alloy strong enough to handle 850 Newton-meters of torque, cylinder head hand polished by engineers. Every single one completely unique. This is not manufacturing. This is craftsmanship. 48 valves, 4 per cylinder, timed to within 1 millisecond. Camshafts controlling them in perfect harmony with the crankshaft converting all that up-down piston energy into pure rotation. 12 pistons firing in sequence, smooth, uninterrupted power. Timing chain, not a belt like ordinary cars. A heavy-duty chain that literally lasts the entire lifetime of the engine. 0 replacements. Pistons, 12 of them moving up and down inside the cylinders. When fuel ignites, the explosion pushes each piston down with force. Piston rings sealing the cylinder and controlling oil consumption. 3 rings per piston, each doing a specific job perfectly. Camshafts with precision ground oval lobes opening and closing the valves at exactly the right moment every single time. Variable valve timing adjusting the camshaft timing based on engine load and speed. More power when needed, more efficiency when cruising. Timing chain tensioners keeping the chain perfectly tight at all times. A slack chain would destroy timing and ruin the engine. The V shape of this engine is not random. 6 cylinders each side cancel out each other's vibrations. The result, absolute smoothness. Rolls-Royce does not show you horsepower on the dashboard. They show power reserve. How much power is still available? Genius, 563 horsepower, enough to embarrass most sports cars at a traffic light. But inside you hear nothing. Complete silence, 850 Newton-meters of torque from almost 0 RPM. That instant pulling power is why this car feels effortless at any speed, 0 to 100 in 4.6 seconds. For a car weighing 2.5 tons, that number is honestly shocking. Engineering at its absolute finest, the head gasket sealing the engine block and cylinder head together. If this fails, the engine is finished. Rolls-Royce makes sure it never does. Inside the cylinder head sits the combustion chamber, the small dome-shaped space where fuel and air mix and ignite. Where power is born, the moment that spark fires, the fuel-air mixture explodes, pushing the piston down with tremendous force. 12 times per cycle, all 12 cylinders fire in a precise sequence, not randomly, in a carefully calculated order that creates perfectly smooth and continuous power. That up-down piston movement becomes circular rotation through the crankshaft, just like pushing a bicycle pedal creates wheel rotation. 4 camshafts in total, 2 for intake and 2 for exhaust. All spinning in perfect synchronization with the crankshaft below. Rolls-Royce chose a chain over a belt because chains last the lifetime of the engine. A belt needs replacing every few years. Not good enough, variable valve timing means this engine can be both powerful and efficient. Track mode thinking, combined with luxury car refinement, one engineer builds the entire engine from start to finish. No assembly line, no rushing. 6 months of dedicated, focused craftsmanship. Every completed engine goes through rigorous testing on a test bench before it ever goes into a car. 0 tolerance for imperfection. The aluminum alloy used in this engine block is aerospace grade, the same material used in aircraft construction. Lightweight and incredibly strong. After hand polishing each cylinder head, the engineer inspects it under magnification. If it is not perfect, they start again. When all the parts come together, this engine is genuinely one of the most beautiful pieces of engineering you will ever see. Stunning. And that signature inside the engine block. It means one person took personal responsibility for this engine. Their reputation is on the line. The power delivery from this engine is so smooth and linear. There are no sudden surges or jerks. Just a constant wave of effortless power. Sitting inside while this engine runs, you genuinely cannot tell it is running. The only clue is the power reserve needle moving. Incredible. And that famous adequate answer about horsepower, it tells you everything about Rolls-Royce philosophy. Numbers do not matter. Experience does. That is the complete engine and powertrain. Now let us move to what happens after the engine, the turbo and fuel systems, twin turbochargers, 2 of them, one for each bank of cylinders. Spinning at 100,000 RPM, made from titanium. Absolutely insane. Each turbo works by using the exhaust gases that would otherwise be wasted. Those gases spin a turbine wheel at incredible speed. That turbine spins a compressor on the other side, which forces compressed air into the engine. More air means more power. Simple, one turbo feeds the left bank of 6 cylinders, and the other feeds the right bank. Both working simultaneously for zero lag, turbo lag. That delay before the power arrives is non-existent in a Rolls-Royce. Power is there the instant you ask for it. 100,000 RPM, that is how fast these turbos spin. Your car engine at full chat does maybe 7,000 RPM. These do 14 times that. The turbine wheel must be made from titanium because exhaust gases reach 900 degrees Celsius. Steel would simply melt at that temperature. After compression, that air gets very hot, which actually reduces its density and power potential. Enter the intercooler. The intercooler cools that compressed air before it reaches the engine. Cooler air is denser, more oxygen, more power. Clever tests have shown that an intercooler can increase power output significantly compared to running without one. It is essential. In a Rolls-Royce, the intercooler sits on top of the engine using air-to-air cooling. The most efficient placement possible. The oil pump, driven directly by the engine, forces oil under pressure to every single moving surface inside this engine. Without oil, this engine would destroy itself in under 10 seconds. Every bearing, every journal, every surface needs constant lubrication. The oil pan sits at the bottom of the engine, holding several liters of oil in reserve. The pump draws from here continuously. The oil filter removes microscopic metal particles and contaminants before the oil reaches the sensitive bearing surfaces. Rolls-Royce specifies only the finest, fully synthetic oil for this engine. Using anything less would be doing this masterpiece a disservice. Oil pressure sensors monitor pressure constantly. A drop in pressure triggers an immediate warning. Ignore it and the engine is finished. The coolant system works alongside the oil system to manage engine temperature. Radiator, water pump, thermostat, all working together. The radiator dissipates heat from the coolant by exposing it to airflow through the front of the car. Simple but absolutely essential. The water pump circulates coolant continuously through the engine block cylinder head and radiator in a constant loop. Never stops. The thermostat acts as a temperature gatekeeper. When the engine is cold, it blocks coolant flow to let the engine warm up quickly. The ideal operating temperature is between 90 and 100 degrees Celsius. Too cold and the engine wears faster. Too hot and it fails. Rolls-Royce coolant is a special formulation that will not freeze at -40 and will not boil until over 130 degrees. Impressive. Behind the radiator sits an electric cooling fan that activates in traffic or at low speed when there is not enough natural airflow. Fuel injectors, 12 of them, each one spraying a precisely metered amount of fuel directly into its cylinder. Perfect every time. The precision of these injectors is remarkable. The quantity sprayed is measured and controlled to within fractions of a millisecond. Direct injection means fuel goes straight into the combustion chamber, not into the intake port. Better atomization, more power. The fuel rail distributes fuel to all 12 injectors at equal pressure. Every injector gets exactly the same pressure every time, 200 bar of fuel pressure. That is 200 times atmospheric pressure. This extreme pressure creates the fine mist needed for perfect combustion. Iridium spark plugs, chosen because iridium is one of the hardest metals on Earth and lasts 6 times longer than regular plugs. Each spark plug creates a tiny but powerful electric spark that ignites the compressed fuel-air mixture in a fraction of a second. All 12 spark plugs fire in a precise calculated sequence, not randomly. To create perfectly smooth and continuous power output, each plug has its own dedicated ignition coil that transforms 12 volts from the battery into 40,000 volts for the spark. Incredible! Coil-on-plug means each coil sits directly on its spark plug. No wires, maximum energy transfer, strongest possible spark. Hydraulic engine mounts absorb 90% of all engine vibrations before they can reach the chassis and cabin. You feel nothing. That covers everything in the engine bay, from the turbos forcing air into the mounts keeping everything isolated. Extraordinary. Now let us talk about getting all that power to the wheels, the 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox. The smoothest gearbox ever built. Scene 80. 8 speeds all changing automatically with zero input from the driver. Just sit back and let the car do absolutely everything. Scene 81. Each gear has a perfectly calculated ratio. First for pulling away smoothly and eighth for effortless motorway cruising. Scene 82. Why automatic over manual? No human can change gears as smoothly or as quickly as this gearbox. Simple as that. Scene 83. And the gear selector, not a boring lever like other cars. A stunning rotary dial that rotates like a piece of fine jewelry. Scene 84. The torque converter sits between engine and gearbox, acting as a fluid coupling that transfers power incredibly smoothly. Scene 85. Inside the torque converter, fluid flows between a pump and turbine, transferring power without any direct mechanical connection. Brilliant. Scene 86. At low speeds, the torque converter actually multiplies torque, giving you more pulling power exactly when you need it most. Scene 87. At higher speeds, the lock-up clutch engages, creating a direct connection for maximum efficiency on the motorway. Scene 88. The drive shaft. A long, perfectly balanced steel rod connecting the gearbox to the rear differential. Spinning at incredible speed. Every single rotation of that drive shaft carries power from the 563 horsepower engine all the way to the rear wheels. Incredible. This shaft spins so fast that if it was even slightly unbalanced, you would feel vibrations through the whole car. So it is perfect. Universal joints at both ends allow the drive shaft to flex and transmit power even when the angle changes. Genius engineering. The rear differential splitting power between left and right rear wheels. Without this, cornering would be completely impossible. When you corner, the outer wheel needs to travel further and spin faster. The differential handles this automatically every single corner. In a tight corner, the outer wheel spins significantly faster than the inner one. The diff manages this perfectly and silently. Rolls-Royce uses a limited slip differential, meaning if one wheel loses traction, power automatically transfers to the wheel with grip. CV joints on the axles allow power transmission, even when the wheel is turning for steering or moving over bumps. Constant velocity. Inside each CV joint are precision ball bearings arranged in a cage, allowing the joint to flex while maintaining perfectly constant speed. Every wheel has its own axle shaft with CV joints at both ends for complete flexibility in any driving situation whatsoever. One warning: if the rubber boot on a CV joint tears, grease leaks out, and the joint wears rapidly. Even on a Rolls-Royce, check these. The transfer case, only found in the Rolls-Royce Cullinan SUV, splits power to all 4 wheels for ultimate traction in any condition. When the transfer case sends power to all 4 wheels, the traction improvement is dramatic. Off-road, on road, in any weather. Unstoppable. Odd means all 4 wheels always working together compared to rear-wheel drive where only 2 wheels push the car forward. The transfer case has multiple modes. 2WD for efficiency on normal roads. 4WD for off-road, and auto for the system to decide. The TCM, Transmission Control Module, is the brain controlling every gear change. It processes data faster than you can blink. The TCM receives data from dozens of sensors, vehicle speed, throttle position, engine load, road gradient, and decides instantly. Inside the TCM is a shift map, a precise chart telling it exactly which gear to use at every possible speed and throttle combination. The TCM in a Rolls-Royce actually learns your driving style over time and tailors the shifts to match you perfectly every time. All 7 drivetrain components working together create one seamless system from engine power all the way to the wheels. Perfect harmony, the result of all this engineering, a glass of water on the dashboard during gear changes. Not one single drop spills. Unbelievable, this level of smoothness is not an accident. It is the result of thousands of engineering hours dedicated to perfecting every detail. Every component in this drivetrain is calibrated to work with every other component. Nothing is left to chance. Nothing at all. The gears are precision ground to tolerances measured in microns, smaller than a human hair. That is why it feels like silk. Whether cruising at motorway speed or accelerating hard from standstill, this transmission delivers perfection every time. From engine to wheels, 7 components, 1 goal, deliver 563 horsepower to the road as smoothly as humanly possible. Now the suspension. Rolls-Royce calls this the magic carpet ride. After this section, you will understand why that name is perfect. Forget everything you know about car suspensions. What Rolls-Royce built under this car is on a completely different level: 4-corner air suspension, 4 individual airbags, 1 for each corner of the car, all working independently from each other. Each airbag inflates or deflates to keep every corner at exactly the right height. The car is always perfectly level. Always. At low speeds, the car raises for easy entry and exit. At high speeds, it lowers for better aerodynamics and stability. Automatic. Compared to a normal coil spring, the air suspension is 10 times more adjustable. Soft as a cloud or firm as needed, the suspension sensors scan the road surface 500 times every single second. Before your front wheel reaches a bump, it is already prepared. Adaptive shock absorbers electronically adjusting their damping in real time. Smooth motorway soft. Sharp corner firm. Automatic. The speed of adjustment is measured in milliseconds. By the time you perceive a bump, the suspension has already dealt with it. Control arms, upper and lower, guiding every wheel movement with precision geometry. Perfect angle maintained at all times. Double wishbone suspension geometry, the same setup used in Formula One racing cars. Rolls-Royce uses it for comfort, F1 for performance. The subframe, a separate structural frame holding all suspension components, mounted to the body on rubber isolation mounts. Those rubber mounts isolate the entire suspension from the body. Road vibrations stop at the rubber. They never reach you, the steering rack and pinion converting your steering wheel input into wheel movement. Turn left, wheels go left. Precise, variable ratio steering means the steering response changes with speed. Slow speed more responsive. High speed more stable. The power steering pump makes this massive car feel light and effortless to steer. Without it, this 2.5-ton car would be impossible. Hydraulic pressure from the power steering pump reduces the effort needed at the steering wheel dramatically. One finger could steer it. Tie rods connecting the steering rack to the wheels, the final mechanical link in the entire steering system. Critical components. Ball joints at each end of the tie rod allowing multi-directional movement. The wheel needs to steer and move up and down simultaneously. Wheel alignment. Toe camber caster, set to within fractions of a degree. Incorrect alignment on a Rolls-Royce is not acceptable. Anti-roll bars connecting left and right wheels to resist body roll during cornering. Without these, the car would lean dramatically. Rolls-Royce uses active anti-roll bars, electronically controlled, adjusting their stiffness based on cornering speed. Real-time. Wheel hub bearings allowing the wheels to spin freely while supporting the entire weight of this 2.5-ton luxury machine. All 9 suspension and steering components working together. This is what creates the magic carpet ride. Every part contributes. The result, Rolls-Royce can place a coin on the engine while driving over rough roads and the coin will not fall. Magic carpet ride. 500 scans per second. Active dampers, air suspension, active anti-roll bars, all working together in perfect harmony. Extraordinary, even driving over a speed bump at normal speed, the occupants barely feel it. The suspension absorbs everything. Completely isolated. No other car in the world does this as well as a Rolls-Royce. It is not just engineering. It is a philosophy of absolute comfort. Even at high speed through sharp corners, this car stays flat. the active anti-roll bars working continuously in the background. The entire suspension system is a masterpiece of engineering. Complex yet invisible, working constantly yet never felt. Perfect Rolls-Royce engineers spent years perfecting this system, testing thousands of roads in hundreds of countries. Every bump considered, the result is a car that isolates you completely from the outside world. Inside, peace. Outside, whatever the road throws at it. This suspension technology is so advanced that it actually anticipates road conditions rather than just reacting to them. Predictive comfort. When the suspension absorbs a large pothole, the passengers barely notice. The system deals with it silently and invisibly. Always, from airbags to control arms to anti-roll bars, 9 components working as one unified system. The magic carpet ride in engineering form, now from floating to stopping. Because after all that luxury, you need to stop this machine when it matters most. The brake system. The brake system, 8 components bringing 2.5 tons from 250 kmph to a complete stop. Let us break down every single part. Ventilated disc brakes front and rear. Not solid discs. They have internal vanes that channel cooling air through as they spin. The front discs measure 400 mm diameter. That is larger than most car wheels. This is what stops 2.5 tons of metal, optional carbon ceramic brake discs, the same technology from Formula One. 50% lighter than steel but handles 1,000 degrees. Carbon ceramic versus steel. Weight is half but stopping power is greater and they last significantly longer. Worth every penny. 6 piston brake calipers at the front, 6 individual pistons pressing the brake pads onto the disc with enormous clamping force. A regular car might have a single piston caliper. Rolls-Royce has 6. 6 times the clamping pistons. 6 times the stopping power. Brake pads made from high-performance friction compound, generating massive stopping friction without fatting under extreme heat. The brake pad compound is specifically formulated to maintain consistent friction, even when temperature rises to hundreds of degrees. The brake master cylinder converting foot pressure into hydraulic pressure that activates all 4 brakes simultaneously. Brilliant. One push of your foot on the pedal and hydraulic pressure travels through lines to all 4 calipers simultaneously. Instant response, ABS, anti-lock braking system, preventing wheel lockup by pulsing brake pressure 100 times per second. You keep full steering control. Without ABS, hard braking locks the wheels and you cannot steer. With ABS, you can brake hard and steer at the same time. Life-saving. ABS sensors on every single wheel constantly monitoring rotation speed. The moment any wheel slows too fast, the system reacts. Testing has shown ABS reduces stopping distance on most surfaces while allowing the driver to maintain complete directional control. Electronic parking brake. No handbrake lever in sight. Just a button. Press it and the rear calipers clamp automatically. Effortless, the electronic system automatically applies the parking brake when you turn the engine off and releases when you press the accelerator. Stainless steel braided brake lines carrying hydraulic fluid from master cylinder to every caliper. They never expand under pressure. Rubber brake lines can expand under high pressure, reducing pedal feel. Rolls-Royce uses braided steel lines for perfect feedback. Brake fluid reservoir using .4 fluid with a boiling point over 230 degrees Celsius. Because these brakes get seriously hot, if brake fluid boils, it creates gas bubbles in the lines, causing the pedal to feel spongy and reducing braking performance. .4 prevents this, all 8 components working together. The result is 100 kmph to 0 in under 35 meters. For a 2.5-ton luxury car, extraordinary. For comparison, a regular family car of similar weight might need 40 to 45 meters. Rolls-Royce stops 10 meters shorter. Significant? Here is something remarkable. The brake pedal feel is tuned by hand. Engineers spend weeks getting the exact pedal pressure and travel right. The pedal should feel progressive, light at first, and building resistance as you push harder. Rolls-Royce engineers perfect this by hand. Brake-based torque vectoring. When you brake hard, most cars dip at the nose. Rolls-Royce counters this with individual brake control. The front and rear braking force is perfectly balanced, so the car remains flat and stable during even the hardest emergency stops. The brakes integrate directly with stability control. If the car detects a slide, individual brakes fire to correct it. Instantly, this integration between brakes and stability control happens so fast you never know it happened. The car simply stays perfectly straight. Scene 180. Heat management during repeated heavy braking is also engineered. The ventilated discs and caliper design keep temperatures in check. Every brake system in every Rolls-Royce is individually tested before the car leaves the factory. Zero tolerance for anything less. The brakes on a Rolls-Royce are not just functional, they are part of the overall luxury experience. Even stopping feels special. From the moment you touch the pedal to the moment the car stops, every sensation is tuned to feel exactly right. Perfection, 8 components. Thousands of engineering hours. One goal, stop 2.5 tons as safely, smoothly, and confidently as physically possible, and they achieved it. The Rolls-Royce brake system is genuinely one of the best in any production car anywhere in the world. The caliper internals, pistons, seals, and guides, all machined to tolerances that would embarrass a Swiss watchmaker. Incredible! The complete brake fluid circuit is designed so that even if one line fails, the other circuit still provides braking. Safety first, the ABS module processes wheel speed data from all 4 sensors simultaneously, making hundreds of calculations every single second. In an emergency stop, the system reacts in milliseconds, far faster than any human could manually pump the brakes. Priceless. The ventilation channels in the brake disc are precisely angled to create maximum airflow as the disc rotates. Engineering perfection. The integration between brake suspension and stability control creates a safety net that works invisibly behind the scenes. Always. A confident driver is a safe driver. Rolls-Royce brakes give you absolute confidence to push this car knowing it will always stop. Rolls-Royce brake components are engineered to last significantly longer than comparable systems in other luxury cars. Quality first. All 5 systems, engine, turbo, transmission, suspension, and brakes, working together as one perfectly integrated machine. This is why a Rolls-Royce is more than just a car. It is a complete engineering ecosystem where every part supports every other part. The braking force distribution between front and rear axles is optimized for maximum stability during all braking conditions. Every component of this brake system was designed with one philosophy. Nothing less than absolute perfection will ever be acceptable. That covers the complete brake system. Now for the 5 incredible secrets that Rolls-Royce never officially talks about. Stay with me. Now the 5 incredible secrets I promised, things Rolls-Royce never officially discusses publicly. Starting with something amazing, Secret 1. The spirit of ecstasy automatically retracts into the bonnet when the car is locked or if someone tries to grab it. Incredible, and when you unlock the car, she rises back up majestically. An electromechanical ballet happening every single time you use the car. Secret 2. The Starlight headliner has over 1,300 individual fiber optic lights. Each one hand-threaded through the roof lining, one person. 17 hours. Threading 1,300 individual fiber optic strands by hand. Just for the headliner. Just for the stars above your head. Secret 3. Built into the doors are actual full-size umbrellas. Because Rolls-Royce decided their customers should never get wet, not a small travel umbrella, a proper full-size umbrella stored perfectly in a dedicated compartment inside each rear door. Thoughtful. Secret 4. Rolls-Royce applies up to 17 layers of paint on every single car. Each layer hand-polished before the next is applied. The entire paint process takes 5 weeks. 5 weeks just for the paint. And the result is a finish so perfect it looks like liquid metal. Secret 5. Rolls-Royce will build absolutely anything for their customers. Anything at all. No request is too unusual or too extreme. One customer had the exact shade of their private yacht interior matched to their car. Another had their dog's DNA woven into the seats. That is why this car costs what it costs. It is not just transportation. It is 560 hours of handwork delivered to your driveway, 17 paint layers, 1,300 stars above your head, a signed engine underneath your bonnet, and brakes tuned by hand just for you. When those factory workers finish a Rolls-Royce, they are not just completing a job. They are completing a piece of automotive art, and that engineer who signed inside the engine, They know their work will be appreciated for decades by someone who truly cares. No other manufacturer on Earth does this. No other car combines this level of engineering with this level of craftsmanship. No one, from the V12 engine that one person built over 6 months, to the brakes tuned by hand, every single detail matters to Rolls-Royce. That is why when you sit inside one of these cars, you do not just feel rich. You feel that someone genuinely cared about every detail, 560 hours of handwork. That is 23 full days of non-stop work going into every single Rolls-Royce that leaves the factory. 17 layers of paint taking 5 weeks means the paint alone receives more attention than the entire manufacturing process of most other cars. Not the fastest, not the most powerful, simply the best. That is the Rolls-Royce philosophy, and everything in this video proves it. That is the complete Rolls-Royce breakdown: engine, turbo, transmission, suspension, brakes, and 5 secrets. Thank you for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you are genuinely one of the real car enthusiasts. Subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. Drop a like if this taught you something new. Share it with a fellow car lover. More luxury car content coming every single week.